Hey, what's up, Tackle Warehouse? Hanging out here, South Florida. The weather is finally beautiful. And this is gonna be my final day here at Lake Okeechobee for pre-practice. I was here a few days before we started shooting vlogs, and this will be the last day. So you guys are actually just gonna ride around with me today. Don't know how the fishing is gonna be. We're launching here in Clewiston. Haven't been here in years, probably 4 or 5 years now. So it's gonna be new for me. The water level's higher than I've ever seen it. And you guys are just gonna kind of see how I try and break down a lake, at least in pre-practice. You'll see that there's not a lot of fish catches generally, unless we stumble onto something nice, but more just checking everything out, running around, taking a look and see how everything's changed over the years. So you guys ride along and see if you can't learn something that'll help you out in the future, practicing for a tournament. Let's go. Nice little gator right there. We just pulled into the first spot, area close to where I caught him in the past 1 year. I guess it was about 4 years ago, but you know, I'm just running up this west side of the lake, just kind of looking at it. And this is the first place that had a lot of hyacinth growing, a lot of good green vegetation. And like I said, close to an area where I caught him before. So we're just trying to visualize and see as much stuff as we can today, and kind of visualize what might be happening come February. Really, the 3rd week of February down here, it should be full-blown spawn. So we're going to be spending a lot of time looking for bedding areas, and what you want in that is little cleared out spots in the back like this, you know, just off the main lake where they can move in and you know, make a nice bed, spawn, and get back to the lake quickly. So we're gonna keep bouncing around. I don't know how fishing will be today. We might not get a bite, but it's gonna be a productive day one way or the other. Generally, I don't like to fish this fast in Florida. You can see how fast we're moving right now. We got the boat on 8, 9, 10 for speed, but in pre-practice, it's important for me to see as much water as possible. So I'm trying to see as much of the lake as possible, and then really break it down and figure out how to get bit once I get back in the official 3 days of practice. And especially the tournament, that's when I'll slow down, especially in Florida. I mean, this is, you know, I've always done my best down here when I put the trolling motor on 2 or 3 and just creep along and pick the areas apart that I know have fish, but you gotta cover a lot of miles to find the right areas. The bait that I like to use to cover this kind of water real quick, you know, swim baits are real popular down here, but I like throwing a swim jig. This is a 1/4 ounce Eco Pro Tungsten 6-buoy jig, and I get a 5-inch Berkley Havoc grass pig on there. I cut down maybe about 1 inch and thread it up. So black and blue with green pumpkin can be a good color. You know, there's like a Houdini type of color, but whatever you like. Swim jig though, I really like it because it does get hung a little less than even the swim baits with a nice weed guard on there. So that's the bait that I like to use to cover water. And in the tournament, you know, I'll throw it. But like I said, I like to slow down and really pick things apart. So I tend to catch more fish on plastics in Florida in a tournament, but use these faster baits for finding them. Finally, we've been cruising on the big motor for a while, and finally got in an area you can see all through here. I'm sure that they spawn in these pencil reeds, lily pads, some monkey grass, all kinds, or pepper grass, whatever they call it. All kinds of stuff going on in here though, so definitely makes me feel better. You know, we passed a lot of water getting here, but if it doesn't look right, I'm not really into fishing stuff that doesn't look right. So I got to manage my time, and I want to get in the area that looks like it would be productive, and this is it. So whether I catch one now or not, this definitely looks like an area that they would use to spawn, and probably something that I'll check out, you know, at least for a half a day or so when I get back. There's a fish right there. He ate it right at the boat, little tiny guy. Literally right at the boat. definitely one of the biggest things that I've ever learned for fishing Florida in general is it's, you know, no surprise that there's a lot of people down here in the winter that are fishing for these fish because the weather's so nice, they spawn so early, they're shallow living fish. But the biggest thing that's really helped me down here is realizing that they're shallow water fish and they can hear all the noises that you're making in your boat, and they hear all the other boats all the time. So stealth and, you know, approaching these fish, being very quiet, long casts, long flips and pitches, that kind of stuff really goes a long way here. Even as much as turning off the sonar and just kind of drifting with the wind. I always like to get upwind and drift with it and hit that trolling motor as least amount of times as possible. Just really seems to help keep these fish from spooking away, from them hearing you, and ultimately, you know, you're gonna get several more bites throughout a day on a good tournament day when you're on them, if you do those kinds of things. Got in a nice little area here. You can see we're going through a lot of that needle grass, and then it kind of opened, and there's open area here with pads and some nice cattails and stuff. So Coolies, California boy. But anyway, definitely we got a couple bites and hung right there, but got a couple bites and missed them both, but that's okay. It's at least telling me that there's some fish in this area. So gonna drop a waypoint and definitely check this out when I come back. Just a nice little spawning area. I just had a couple miss my swim jig, kind of biting it a little short, which is understandable right now. Still post frontal, but I'm gonna put on just a straight swim bait and see if that helps. That little area where we just had several bites, that's a crazy thing about this, is this huge general area right here. All kind of looks the same, but where we got bit, there was kind of cleared out of this needle grass, so a nice little spawning area. And now once we got back into this stuff pretty thick, haven't had any more bites. We had like 3 or 4 bites over in that one small area, probably a 50-yard stretch. So we're gonna keep moving around. I need to keep covering some water, and been fishing in here a little too long now. So, but definitely we'll check out that area where I had those bites. It was pretty obvious that that's a spawning area. Even saw quite a bit of fry just in the area. So some of those bites might have been little fry garters. But we're gonna wrap it up and move to a new spot. I'll tell you what too, this thing right here, this is just an iPad, but using the satellite images on this, when you're fishing a shallow body of water where you're not gonna see much depth change, you know, and the maps aren't just gonna show, you're not looking for depth change, you're looking for open areas in the grass and that kind of stuff. The satellite images that you get through an iPad are just really helpful. So if you guys ever do, you know, get in an area, big, vast area, just break out your phone if you're curious where you might want to try next. That's what we're doing right now. I'm just looking at this and looking at a couple cleared out areas, and we're gonna run to them. And I'm even using the apps, you know, the Google apps or whatever on here that actually shows your, you know, exact location. So I can see right where I'm at and make sure I'm in those open areas. But pretty cool and definitely very helpful. This little area we just pulled in, I like it already because we kind of just got back in here and seeing a couple nice beds, fanned out beds, which, you know, good hard bottom that they're using to spawn. So that's always a positive thing to see. But what I did, the wind's blowing pretty good out of the east, enough to be pushing the boat. And I saw these pads up here is what I'm really wanting to fish. So ran upwind and gonna let the wind drift us back into what I thought looked, you know, the best. And again, the reason for that in this shallow water, 1, 2, 3 foot of water, these fish can hear you coming from a long ways away. So long casts, you know, and being stealthy, you know, whether we get more bites today because of it or not, you know, who knows? It's not the perfect day to be throwing fast moving baits, but in a tournament, when you know where they're at and you're approaching that area, I promise you that will help you when it comes down to it. There's one that came after it right there. There's a fish. Good fish too. Come on. Nah, it's not as big as I thought. Man, I fool you when they get in that stuff. Nice little chunk though. I thought it was a good one. Need to be catching a few more fish. Not getting so excited about the little guys. But again, this area, you know, I mean, seen a couple beds in here, been in here for 5 minutes and already got a bite, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I love using a fast reel in this situation. You gotta cover so much water to find these fish, and there's so much stuff that you can get hung up in. So braid, you know, 50, 65 pound braid and a fast reel, and it's all you can do just to keep, you know, 2-3 pounders hooked up, let alone a big giant once you get that bite. So fast reel, I like an 8-to-1, sometimes even the 9-to-1 rocket from Abu. To me, that's a must in this situation. I wouldn't use a 7-to-4 even, or a 6-4 especially. I wouldn't use either one of those. I like the fast stuff. There's a fish. Come here, dude. Another little male. New area though. Like the way this looks too. Nice and cleared out. Plenty of places for them to spawn. And hopefully when I come back here for our tournament, this one's paired up with a 9-pounder. Nice looking little area here. First spot we've seen down south that's got some hydrilla or coontail, something else growing in here with all the lily pads and stuff, so that's pretty cool. There's a fish. Gosh, another little guy. Still fun. It's pre-practice, doesn't matter. If there's actual practice of the tournament and I kept catching small ones, I might get out of there, but a little swim jig's been money today for getting bites. You can see right there, this is that grass pig 5-inch. I cut about 1 inch off. I just like the way that it fits on the jig better. And they got a nice little keeper on this sick boy jig. You can see right there just to hold it up. But thread that thing on there after cutting it off, and I'm switching to a little bit darker color just because the clouds are kind of rolling in, and we'll go black and blue across the whole thing. Looks pretty good. It's gonna get bit, I know that. There's another one. Come here. That little guy. Yep. I don't care. I like setting the hook. You don't know until you get them out of this thick stuff how big they're actually gonna be. But we're getting bit and it's fun. That might be a little bit better one. Gosh. Come on, dude. I don't know if it is a better one or not, but we're gonna act like it is until we see it. I think he's just hung up on these pads. I don't think he got off. No, he's still there. Ha! And another little one. Dude, they are in here thick. It's a good little jig. I mean, that's the thing is, You can get frustrated catching little guys, or you can have a good time with it. And you know, I know that this same setup, this same jig, when the big girls move in here, is gonna catch those ones too. So I'm not gonna change, you know, I'm not gonna change what I'm using in this area once those big girls move in. Hopefully they're here for my tournament. If I wanted to catch the bigger ones today, you know, I'd probably, it's still post-frontal, so I'd be out in front of here flipping somewhere. You know, those big females are probably staging, but I'm trying to practice for where I think they're gonna be, and I don't mind catching 1.5 pound fish. All right, everyone, hey, that's a wrap for today on Lake Okeechobee. And although it wasn't, you know, a ton of big fish today, or any big fish for that matter, I found it to be a very productive day, and I hope that you guys following along today, you know, can learn a little bit about how I pre-practice for an event. You know, my tournament is 1.5 months from now out here, so for me, it was all about finding areas where I think they're gonna come to, not where they're at right now, because so much is gonna change. But we did, you know, we found a lot of buck bass, areas where there's beds and spawning activity that's been going on. And the swim jig was our bait today. This is the 1/4 ounce Eco Pro Tungsten Sick Boy jig, swim jig. And they got the 5-inch Berkley Havoc grass pig on the back. We used the black and blue and also the green pumpkin, just depending on light colors. But you can see how shredded up that head is. That jig was brand new today, and there's teeth marks all over that thing. So again, I appreciate you guys riding around in the boat. We'll talk about the rod and reel real quick. 7.5 foot heavy Villain 2.0 rod, 50-pound braid, and fast, like we talked about, Revo STX 8-to-1 reel. So this is my swim jig setup. Same one that I use all the time, and you can absolutely pound them with that. But again, I hope you guys had a good time following around today. It was a lot of fun for me to actually show somebody how I pre-practice. Normally I'm out here by myself, and it could get a little boring, but the Tackle Warehouse guys have now promised me Mexican food, so that's why we're getting off the water so early. I gotta eat some of this Mexican food down here in Clewiston, Florida. Hey, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and tag a friend on it. You'll be entered for this week's gear giveaway, sponsored by Berkley and Abu Garcia. And as always, all the gear that I use is available at tacklewarehouse.com. And you guys check in next week for the next vlog. All white, fresh off the lake. That's what it's all about. Just going right there. We can stay far enough off them.
3.5, just a smaller profile. When the bait fish are small, any kind of forage that they're around is small. That's the one you're gonna need.